You're watching Talking About. I'm Cara Kilduff.
I'm John Griffith.
I would like to welcome today author Rob Byrnes to the studio, author of all these books that are here. Welcome.
Many books. Welcome.
Thank you.
And more inside your head.
So the most recent of which is Holy Rollers.
Holy Rollers, yeah. It's the second in a crime caper series, a gay lesbian crime caper series I've been writing. Mismatched, not terribly competent group of criminals. In this case, they are going after $7 million hidden somewhere in a right-wing megachurch down in Virginia. They don't know. They're New Yorkers. They don't know. They're professional criminals for the most part, but they're not all that good at it. And they do not know Virginia. So you've just taken a bunch of people out of Jackson Heights and in Long Island City and moved them to a made-up town in Northern Virginia where it's very waspy. They have to deal with a homeowners association. Turns out to be one of the worst parts of the job.
Well, see, that just what you said now hooked me, because I told you before the word megachurch hooked me. I mean, just the whole setup, because I performed at a Baptist church down in Virginia, and we weren't allowed to swear, and I was like, what am I going to say? It was really difficult, but that sounds... So how many books are you planning for the series?
Well, I don't know. The series is going to... I'm already starting to work on the third. The series is going to...
Did it start intentionally as a series, or did it just sort of grow out of Straight Lies?
Well, in my head, it was going to be a series. Publishers were more interested in one book at a time. So Straight Lies, by the way, introduced the criminal gang in 2009. And in that case, they discovered one of the world's most prominent gay celebrities was actually straight, just pretending to be gay for the attention. Otherwise, he'd just be another 60-year-old white actor that wasn't getting roles anymore. So they tried to blackmail him. As usual, things don't go right. Anyway, I wrote that. I had an idea for Holy Rollers that I pitched 3 years ago, I guess, that my original publisher wasn't enthusiastic about at the time. So I wrote Holy Rollers when this book came out. It was time to go. And the next one, I don't know if it's embargoed or not, so I don't know exactly what I can say. But let's just say the Anthony Weiner scandal factors
inspired.
into it. Inspires it, yes.
Oh, I like that. I like that very much. So did you have a hard time finding a publisher for your first book?
Yeah, well, the first book was in 2002. I was writing more gay romances then, gay comic romances. First book was called The Night We Met, and I did have a hard time. Several years it took. But it worked out, and things were fine up until the fourth book. I've learned some harsh lessons about the publishing industry over the years. It is a business, and no matter how good my personal relationships are with the people at my former publisher and remain, at the end of the day, a lot of mid-list, I shouldn't even call myself mid-list, low-list authors that have sales that, I make the advance back. I don't cost the company money, but it's really not worth their time to
that's too bad.
Well, that's just the nature of the publishing business, period. With Holy Rollers, I went to Bold Strokes Books, which is a small independent publisher that was actually founded by Radcliffe, who's a very prominent lesbian author of dozens of novels. And I have never been happier over the last year since I've been with Bold Strokes. So, I go in if I'd only known, go the small independent route. I could have been such a happy guy all that time. Still making no money. But
well, I mean, just having read the books, it's very much worth a read. Go back and pick them up. Straight Lies through Kensington, and Holy Rollers through Bold Strokes. And that's available for pre-order?
It's available
right now.
Available for pre-order. Its street date is November 14th, 2011.
Okay.
As you can see, it is in print, but you know, I'm just like, you know, J.K. Rowling. I'm embargoed. You know, they have boxes of the books probably behind in the storeroom of every bookstore in the country. No, don't. Yeah, pre-order. Pre-order. This book is out, the one that Kara's holding now, Men of the Mean Streets. I brought it because it's the first shorts. I've written a few short stories, but this is the first one I've written that is not comic, or at least this is the first intentionally serious story I've ever written. This is gay noir. I think 14 authors, mostly gay, some lesbian, some, for all I know, straight, actually, contributed to the anthology, but it's noir fiction with a gay twist. There's and it's edited by Greg Herron and J.M. Redman, who are both prominent gay and lesbian authors. There's a companion volume that I really should have brought too, except for I'm not in it. So what's the point of promoting things that aren't about me?
Exactly.
Women of the Mean Streets, which they both edited also. Oh. And again, you've got a great mix of writers. So, you know, I just kind of brought it to show, you know, people that there's all kinds of, such a diversity of gay and lesbian
really
literature.
Cool. Have you mostly been writing, you know, like comical
everything? Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not saying everyone always laughed, but that's what
you laughed.
I laughed. My own best audience most times. This is really bleak. So it was fun. It was a fun way to challenge myself.
I was just going to ask you that. Like, did you find it was a challenge, a good exercise?
It was, and you know, it made me start thinking. I've got a friend who has a publishing house for young adult titles out of Philadelphia, and she has been recently. We became a mutual admiration society after Men of the Mean Streets, and she's been pushing me to write a YA book for her.
Do it.
I'm thinking I'm a little overbooked right now. It might be more something to look at for late next year, but I'm thinking maybe I should challenge myself a little more. Not that I don't enjoy this stuff and I would keep doing it, but you know.
Well, like, what's your process? Because my dad's a writer. Like, do you write every day? Because everybody's process is different.
Yeah, I'm the most undisciplined. Basically, I sit around and I think, and I play Spider Solitaire.
Oh my God, you're a man after my own heart.
And then all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I went, where'd the 8 hours go? Why are my eyes so red? And then I get on Facebook and complain about it. And then I, you know, pour a glass of wine, sit at the kitchen table, and jot out a few notes for the book. And then I don't think about it again till the next weekend. After I'm tired of Spider Solitaire.
Oh, you never get tired of that?
No.
Just one more game.
I know.
Just one more game.
It's like video game crack or something.
Oh my God.
Computer game crack.
Love that game.
Anyway.
Little off topic.
What? This is an important part of my creative process, Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah.
A deadline is, in my case, is unfortunately what I really need. This Holy Rollers, I actually wrote in about 4 months, which for me is phenomenal because I'm usually take 2.5 years, because that's usually when my deadline is. Mm-hmm. This time it was just about a year ago where my former publisher said they did not want it because my sales weren't strong. It was fine. It was like, we like you. We like your books, but you know, they just aren't selling as well as we'd like them to. But I had something to prove. They said they didn't want me. First time, 52 years old, I'd never been fired before. And basically I'd been fired. So what does a person that gets fired do? They lick their wounds for a few days, and then they get out there and go, oh yeah? Yeah, okay.
Oh,
so,
I like
I'll
this.
show you.
Yes.
So when Bold Stroke said they wanted it, I was like, okay, I want it published in 2011. Can we still do that? Now, you know, publishing's a long, you know, it's usually, even if a publisher wants your book, it's going to be a year and a half probably till it's in the store. But they said, yeah, we'll take it. Radcliffe said, we will publish it in 2011, but we need the manuscript by May 1. Well, now it's like mid-December of last year. Holidays, and you know, I was going to Mexico for a week in March, and I was going to Florida to see the family, and that was it. and and I not disciplined, and I had like January is designated for spider solitaire. But I got motivated because I had that deadline, and much like I have a March 1 deadline for the next book that right now is maybe 500 words jotted in a notebook. I will make that, but that's January and February. Spider solitaire in January this year.
Sucks. That's amazing. That's wonderful.
It's all right. I like doing it. It's not my life. In fact, I lose money actually writing because you pay for your own travel. You don't make much money to begin with in the advance.
So if you're following your passion.
Exactly. And I consider it more than a hobby, certainly. I spent almost a week in St. Louis in September at BoucherCon, which is the it's a national mystery writing convention. And now, technically, because I write crime capers, I'm considered a mystery writer.
That's awesome.
Because when I wrote Straight Lies, I went around the country promoting it, literally. Atlanta, New Orleans, I was, Philadelphia. And I would always say, okay, I won a Lambda. I should mention that. I won a Lambda Literary Award back in 2006, but still it counts for gay romance, and that's what people always thought of me. And then I came up with this strange. It's not a romance, certainly. It's crime caper is technically mystery by Mystery Writers of America definition, but it's basically it's a comic. People don't think of it as a mystery.
Comic adventure.
So as I made my way around the country, I'd be telling my constant joke was I wrote myself out of Lambda Literary Award competition this year. I'm not consideration rather. Who's going to consider it? And yet it was a finalist. So now, when this book's out, I've got a new goal, and that is, the judging starts about next month, and it will continue into March. And now I have to spend a lot of money bribing Lambda Literary Award judges, and they won't tell you who's doing what category. So that means I'm going to have to bribe 90 people. But I'm gonna.
You're ready.
I'm getting that nomination again. Yeah.
You're gonna start putting together those gift bags.
And I just got to, I need to, I got to write the acceptance speech. Things you got to do.
Cart, horse.
I started I was in BoucherCon. So it's out of my pocket, a week in St. Louis, transportation there. But is it valuable? Yes, it's valuable. You learn your craft. Do they take me seriously, even as a gay caper novelist? Yes, they put me on a panel with serious writers. I'm not saying people listen to me, and it was an 8:30 a.m. panel, but still, and it was weird that it was, in the kitchen, but they,
Really?
No.
Oh, I'm so gullible. Well, how long have you been writing?
Oh, seriously, since the late 90s, probably. Wow. It would have been early 2000 when Kensington first said they wanted my first book, so obviously I needed a few years to write it. I dabbled, but I just didn't think that I didn't know anything. I'm not a typist. I still kind of do this, and
whatever gets the job done.
Well, yeah, I've gotten fast at this. Hey, I'm an old guy. When I grew up, the girls learned typing and the guys took shop, and I took music theater, which made me, useless for everything.
May I take your order?
Exactly. And then, I learned to type really because when I started my first job, our secretary was, and they were secretaries then, not administrative assistants. Our secretary was like 98 years old, and A, probably wasn't even good 50 years earlier, but B, just had, she was old and did not want to be there really anymore, and but she was one of those people, one of those sad stories where everyone in her life had probably died and she needed a job, and she also needed to take out her anger at everyone else. So,
Do you
after
think maybe
a while,
you'll write about her or make her a character?
Yeah, that's almost a cliche, isn't it? The cranky old lady who.
But it works.
Yeah, I deal with enough cliches, I'm happy that actually in my book, I play with in this book, for instance, this series, I play with the, Dipsy 20-something, cute guy who doesn't really have a brain in his head, although he gets it together to help pull off the plot. I kind of like the fact that the main gay characters, the kind of the heads of the gang, are a couple in Jackson Heights who are, partners in love and crime, or life and crime. But they're they have one has always lived below the radar. He barely has a social security number. And his partner works as an assistant manager at a crummy supermarket, only for the occasional benefits and because they need a little legitimacy in their life. They are, I think, as the publicist said for Straight Lies, they are the kind of gay couple that fabulousness has left behind. So playing outside the normal stereotypes, I've got power lesbian in there who's, a Dynamo real estate, Dynamo realtor, and her, attractive bitchy girlfriend. Good enough, good, normal stereotypes. The thing is, the realtor is, she's very wealthy, but she gets a real kick out of this. So she always gets in the position where she's financing the guy's jobs, but as in return, she cuts herself in on the action, not just financially, but she wants to get in there and get, roll up her sleeves and, help do the crime. But I've got my gay FBI agent, and probably the biggest stereotypes are, the venal, evil, religious figures, but. What are you going to do? I mean, it's not even a stereotype when it's 98% true, right?
And that's such a great tease, and people can pick up Straight Lies, available now. Holy Rollers.
Pre-order.
November
14th.
So for the rerun, order now. Digital format as well?
Yeah, it'll be an ebook. In fact, I think all my books are available in most ebook formats. And,
Okay.
And by the way, I'll also be reading at the Barnes & Noble at Broadway and 82nd Street on December 6th, which is a Tuesday in Manhattan, along with Michael Graves, who's a phenomenal new writer, and a woman who is getting a lot of media for her book, which is called Zippermouth, I believe, and her name has just escaped me, but she was just added to the team yesterday. So, but I'm going to be with two highly reviewed writers, and they're right now they probably think, cool, he's been published several times, and blah blah blah, and then they'll read my books and meet me. And the illusion is shattered.
No.
Okay, where can people find them on the web? Any major bookseller?
Any major bookseller, right, as well as both KensingtonBooks.com and BoldStrokesBooks.com, or come to my website, which is robbyrnes.net, BYRNES.net, and there'll be helpful links. But if you're going to buy off the web, look for independent. There are independent. There are not only independent brick and mortar stores. There are independent ebook or electronic booksellers too.
And we'll have a couple of links on our website, which is www.talkingabout.info. Rob, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Very interesting.